Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and last time we found our way into Cambria, the city of trilobites. Let's explore further and see what else we can discover here. I bet you slaughtered many of our kind on your way down here and thought nothing of it. Not wrong. Other trilobites, though, may be a little more kind toward visitors. Dwelling deep in this cave as we do, we have little or no knowledge of the happenings of the world outside, and frankly, we don't care what happens out there either. This cave is our world. Why should we be concerned about things that aren't ours? Very clustered society? You could make the case that, yeah, what is here in the city matters most, but at the same time being completely oblivious to what happens outside the walls. You know, when there's a giant fallen angel that is taking over the universe, then maybe that is important to have some awareness of that as well. The Ether Crystal is the heart of Belfair, a doorway through which souls can pass from the soul planes into living, corporeal bodies in this world. Without the ethereal crystal, all life would be soulless and emotionless. One who has power over the ethereal crystal has power over the world itself, and it is for this reason that it is highly sought by heroes and villains. However, its location is quite the mystery indeed. We've heard a little bit about the elemental crystals, but the ethereal crystal, that one's a little bit new. And, oh my goodness, we went on quite the shopping spree last time, but there's another shop. Okay, fortunately this one, relatively tame, comparatively speaking. Potions, better potions, lots of status effect removing potions, and then mana berries, phoenix downs, and that copper ring that we saw very early on. So I don't think there's anything there that we absolutely must have at this stage. Let's see what else there is to explore, though. This place is a secret place. It has nothing to do with the plot. You should give yourself a hearty smack on the back for reaching here. Well done. Thank you, Trilobite. So we've seen most of the trilobites have either green or red eyes. This one, however, over here has blue eyes. That's a little odd. You're here for the arena challenges, right? All the adventurers and wannabe heroes always come down here to fight monsters and each other for kicks, chicks, and cash. It's so barbaric. Also, I'll meet you in the arena and you're going down, punk. Hells yeah! Alright, we'll see about that. Yes? Do I know you? Barbaric mammalian beast from the surface? I didn't know I knew any barbaric mammalian beast from the surface. I must be going senile. How annoying. I suppose that could be the case, although we are real. This is some kind of fictional storybook, but you don't want to read it. Really, you don't. It's not as exciting as the title makes it sound. Honestly. The Enticing Adventures of Egg-Faced Harold? I don't know, it sounds enticing? But maybe not. Okay. As for whether there's anywhere else for us to explore here, there's this other route down here that actually takes us out into the real world, if you will. Outside of this little Cambria area. However, let's head back in, because I think we might also have something to explore on this side. There was mention of something else that we might want to check out. There's another house, though. Real trilobites didn't have 2 arms and 2 legs and sentience, you know? I bet you didn't know that, you moron. Harsh words. Bookshelf. This one doesn't contain anything of any real interest. Just a bunch of mathematical treatises, children's nursery rhyme anthologies, and lengthy dictionaries. Nothing at all worth looking at. So up here, though, we find Trilobite guards. This is the arena. Talk to that other guard there if you want some highly informative information. I mean, not wrong. Intense music. can fight monsters in this place for fabulous prizes. Probably. Monsters are hard and numerous, however. You have to beat all the rounds without healing between each one. Okay, a little bit more information there. Basically sounds like a horde mode in many ways, wave after wave of enemies. No break in between. We came here from the surface to kill some stuffs. It's gonna be fun. Could be. My boyfriend here is such a criminal. Such a bad boy. He treats me like dirt, and I love it. That's how a real man should be. If you say so? I wonder where they get the monsters from. And who are they, anyway? Who does the getting of the monsters? Adventurers or something? Though there's only one tournament open at the moment, there'll probably be others in later chapters. How do you know about future chapters, time-traveling trilobite? I want to be a trilobite when I grow up. I mean, I think you've already succeeded. We are guarding this door for some reason. I am a trilobite guard. Also, very informative. Welcome to the arena. Here you can participate in tournaments where you battle hordes of monsters and maybe other adventurers in our special battle cave to win fabulous prizes. Are you interested? Could you perhaps explain it a little bit further? There's not all that much to explain. You enter a tournament which has 20 rounds. Each round, you fight a group of monsters, win all 20 consecutive battles, and you get a prize. Lose, and you die, and probably reincarnate as somebody else, maybe. Who knows? Okay. Sign me up. What I'm wondering is, what might we want to do in terms of our team setup here? So if we're looking to do the tournament right now, which we may opt to do, then we want to make sure that we are well equipped for a series of battles in which we'll fight a wide range of opponents, have that flexibility, and therefore having things like good reactions quick, because we able to change those in between rounds, and good gear, good items to use to heal us and remove status effects, all those things, that will all become quite relevant. So we did pick up some new things recently. Things like the Shadow Blade come to mind, as we have not yet used or, of course, mastered any of the skills that are tied to those items. So, is it worth taking a little bit of time to level up a bit further, gain a little bit more experience, levels, and master up some of our gear? That might be the case. Because certainly we have several people who are close mastering, well, at least some things, whereas other people might have a ways to go further still. And we were also talking about how we wanted to make sure that we could purchase perhaps another trilobite armor. There were also plenty of other good things from these shops that we were saying, yeah, maybe you could use picking up one or two more if possible. However, given how we started to become a little bit low on cash, that started to hold us back a little bit. So if we go a little bit further in terms of finding a few more of these trilobite brethren and perhaps making the trilobites more upset with us, then maybe they'll offer us an amazing discount, or more likely, they will put all that stuff aside and accept the fact that we now have more coins with which to purchase things. So we'll go a little bit further with some of the leveling here. Not necessarily sure how far we need to go per se, but we were talking about how we wanted to get, I think it was some magic reactions done, in which case maybe that means that we just take these guys out here, not focus too much on them. We're about to master boost, however, so already we've succeeded in mastering something that we did not previously have. And the physical reactions, I think Zach had some, but I'm not necessarily sure that anyone else does at this stage. If we were to swap around equipment a little bit further, then we could potentially end up there at some point. So I'm not sure that everyone has mastered everything. I think Dugan has some physical defensive reactions that we don't have on any of his current equipment, but ultimately, with more time, if we were to, say, swap out the trilobite armor, then we might get to that point where he would have further things to work on. We did just get the plus 10% HP mastered on Mardek. So that's also something that we've recently added. It might mean that he could throw something else on in the accessory slot and find something else to work on. As for what that might be, that is a good question. Not seeing anything in Mardek's inventory. I'm assuming, yeah, he must have mastered minus 10% damage physical reaction. So that's fine. Actually, that's probably Deacon who we were seeing there. Yes, so Mardek has mastered that as well, not so surprisingly. Then, as for other things, Zach's armor, I think we established that everyone has now mastered everything on this. It is quite good having 2 different defensive reactions. Okay. I don't think Mardek has done the Geo Jacket. Double check that though, and nobody is working on it at the moment, of course. I know there were a few people who were saying you might want to have work on it soon. But yeah, Mardek has mastered all of his passive abilities that he has here. So theoretically, we could throw just about anything at him from a passive standpoint. I think we were waiting for the magic defense reaction. I'm pretty sure that was the case. So theoretically, if we could get to the point where we run into some of those magic enemies, then we could swap over pretty soon. The other thing was Emila has not yet used the lightning rod, and that has some new stuff for her. That's another thing we can work on. So, plus 10% magic damage. Certainly, across the board, could be helpful. Swap poison for stun. I think that's mostly a matter of preference, but we can certainly work on it and get to the point where we master it such that we have that choice to make whenever we would like. And Zach also has the twin trilobites that we've not yet used. Let's just double check. I'm pretty sure he's mastered everything on the Bone Slicer. He has. So the twin trilobites has Quarry Insect and Sure Slash. Let's take a look at those. And he does have just enough RP to equip this as well as Quarry Undead, so we don't need to choose here. Fortunately, he can be extra effective against both Undead and Insects simultaneously. That is fantastic. He doesn't have Evasion equipped right now. We might have just swapped around some of his stuff. That might have been why, but obviously that's something we want to make sure we have on him. So that's the other person we're thinking of swapping over chest plates fairly soon. Then we also have the green beads that we picked up. Nobody can learn this ability at the moment. However, we also picked up the Belt of Movement, which I believe has the Locomotion ability, which is resistance to paralysis, which could be a good option for Mardek to put on, at least for the time being. It's actually really inexpensive from an RP standpoint, so I'm sure we'll throw on a little bit of other stuff too. And then let's do a few more battles here, and hopefully we can get to the point where we can at least experiment with some of our new stuff, which I'm looking forward to doing, and also master a little bit more, allowing us to have a little more flexibility with what we put on whom. So Zach's Sure Slash ability inflicts only half the damage of a normal attack, but it never misses. So it's a great way to ensure that you get a hit in if you find yourself with an enemy that's just barely hanging on, and you want to make sure they don't get the chance to take another turn, which can certainly happen on occasion. So if we do it here, we'll find that, of course, the damage will not be as high as it usually would be from Zach's attacks. But still, it's something. And I think we will take out the Cola Cannons here. Remember, Emila does have an offensive magic reaction that we're working on too. So that's alright. We might want to put the new sword on Mardek as well. I would need to double check as to whether he has mastered his reactions on his current sword. I suspect that he has. There's Emila, who does also have magic defensive reactions to work on. So that's fine. Sure Slash should not kill Trilobite here. And granted, Stone Explosion with the reaction likely would. Could deliberately go for Bubble. As a heal Trilobite if we're trying to keep it up. So Mardek, I'm gonna pass here with you. And Dugan has now mastered Boost, so you also don't have anything productive to do other than just pass, because you will likely destroy the Trilobite, and at least at the moment, that is kind of not the idea. Sure Slash only takes 10 to master fully, So that does mean that Zack should be done fairly quickly, and there you have it. We managed to stun, which, granted, is not really what we're looking to do right now, given how we want this Trilobite to be attacking us, so maybe that's excuse enough for us to start taking it down. And let's take a look at the sword that we picked up as well. And you see there, oh, Emilia mastered Vim, which is the zombification immunity. So that means that Emilia is now done with the Bone Stone, and could also swap for something else. As for what that might be, previously she was using the Lapis Lily because that has strong magic defense, or a little bit of magic defense, but also the silence resistance, curse resistance, useful for a spellcaster, and some water resistance as a water elemental character to begin with. That means that in total Emilia has a ton of water resistance. What else could we give her though? Because there is, well, we can't put the bone mail on her because it's too heavy of an armor. So no resistance to curse via the purity skill that way. Are there other options for us? Has she done the gauntlet yet? She has. She has that defensive reaction. Anything else that we could potentially put on her? This is the sword I was referring to for Mardek, but let's put that to the side for the moment as we work on Emilia first and foremost. If worst comes to worst, we could put on some kind of copper ring or attribute ring. I would rather not go that route. I would probably prefer to go the Lapis Lily, if that was what we were thinking. What about... could have her put on the Onyx ring for Bright Eyes, which is the blindness immunity ability, which is not terribly relevant for a spellcaster, but it is something which might be more than what we would be otherwise talking about for her, because at the moment it seems like she may have mastered just about everything else that she can master on our current gear. So let's activate that. And, oh, that's not good. Let's make sure that's active. That might have been the magic defensive reaction that we were trying to theoretically level up there, so also important that we do that. Let's just take a check across the board here, see if we're missing anything. Dugan does not have these items equipped, so he cannot use either of those. That is legitimate. And we transitioned partway through antibody into resist water, so that is legitimate. And then Mardek, I think we were checking earlier, but you look good. Okay, so let's carry on then, in that case. And like I said, this location right here, I'm pretty sure, is the exact spot where I fought countless trilobites previously, back in the day. So we'll see if it proves helpful this time as well. Now here, for physical reactions, we do want Zack to be the target, first and foremost. I think we did just establish that, yes, he is the only one who still needs those physical reactions. And we have equipped them now, fortunately. And I think we can take out one of the bats. We could deliberately allow all of them to stand, which would have been the quickest way to get Zack to get that that reaction worked on. We didn't ultimately end up swapping Mardek's sword out. Let's do that this time then. Okay, so let's do that right now. So it gives the degeneration offensive reaction, and it is also a higher damage base sword. It's just no longer extra effective against undead, and it is actually dark elemental. We saw lots of dark elemental zombies and other enemies that we ran into earlier that had resistance at least 100%, if not 200% darkness. So against those guys, wouldn't be terribly effective. However, here in the Trilobite Cave, we should be okay. This reaction has a 10% chance of removing the regen status. It hasn't been terribly relevant thus far, because we haven't run into too many enemies with the regeneration status effect. However, might be a little bit forward-looking in that way. Good thing to have, just in case, and Mardek does have the RP to equip it without having to worry about removing anything else to make room for it. So, that should be fine. We'll continue to work on Sure Slash here, and we will also continue to target the coelacanths in in order to make sure that the magic attackers are the ones that are primarily the people attacking us. Here is Mardek with the new sword. So it's fine against the Kolokans. Like I was saying before, don't have to worry about as to whether they have significant dark resistance. That is Zack, who does not have any magic defense reaction there. Emla does, and we are working on some. Now, at least, we are. Sure Slash, again, should be fine without taking out any of the trilobites here, and we could deliberately use a bubble on them to make sure that we are not taking them out just yet. As for whether Mardek can take them out in one hit, they do have a little bit of dark resistance. We could potentially opt to go after the one with higher HP, and we'll see if it works. Well, I didn't really want Mardek to crit there. By works, I mean, get the reaction, yes, but actually not defeat it. Granted, that Trilobite did manage to get Mardek with that magic ability, which is what we're looking for. Mardek and Emla on the magic side of things. So let's heal this guy a little bit more and work on Emla's reactions. And Mardek, okay, that's actually probably a good sign that he cannot one-shot the Trilobites. So therefore, that means we can more easily keep things going here. However, Zack with Sure Slash will definitely finish off this fight. He's getting close already, though. Like I was saying, with only 10 uses that you need for Sure Slash, it does not take long to master that one. And you see we're getting, usually, somewhere in the 1 to 200 range in terms of coins from each battle, so with all that adding up fairly quickly, we should be able to make it back into the shop soon and be able to purchase some of those things that we were saying earlier we would potentially like to have. So, the Kolokans, they do use exclusively physical attacks, and we were saying that at least for Zack, that is relevant. As for whether we want to work on that right now, maybe? Maybe. I think let's take him out first, though. I kind of want to get the magic reactions done first, because I think we're a little bit further behind on that front. So I'd like to get the first round of them done here, so that maybe if we need to, we can cycle on through to the next round. And there you see Zack actually masters Bright Eyes. Did not even have that one on our radar. That is the blindness immunity. It is coming from... not this guy. This guy. So, that does mean that theoretically we could put something new on Zack here. He has mastered Insomnia. It seems that the accessories at this stage are primarily the things that we are looking to put on everyone. So, plus 10% MP, I was saying earlier, is almost insignificant for Zack. What about anti-zombification? He has not worked on that yet. So let's put that on, in that case. Gives him something productive to do here. And let's take off antibody, because we're not really getting poisoned at the moment. And then the other thing that we might want to check out is Dugan. We were saying earlier about how we really wanted him to finish everything on his sword. He does still have offensive reactions. We've not been attacking much with him because he deals a fair bit of damage, and if we're trying to keep the enemies alive to work on defensive reactions, then that means that we don't necessarily want him to be attacking. However, we do want to finish this up because ideally we would go back to the Ancient Sword at least briefly so that we can work on those magic defensive reactions. In fact, I'll tell you what, I think this might be better for the time being, so that we have as many people working on the magic defensive reactions simultaneously as possible. That way, we don't care as much about is the Trilobite using the magic abilities against Mardek, Dugan, Emla, any of those three, and we'll be making progress. So when we're committing, working on the magic defensive reactions, then this is probably the right time to have everyone working on that. Other than Zack, at least, at the moment. Which I think we, for the most part, just don't have enough versions of the chest plates that give magic defensive reactions, namely burns, to also put one on him. But here is probably the perfect setup for us. We can use Sure Slash to master something on Zack here. Skill is done. So now that means if we use a bubble here, we could continue to work on Emla's offensive reactions while still keeping all the Trilobites alive. Now, theoretically, as long as Mardek doesn't crit here, should be okay, leaving all of them up. That is the case. And here, now, Dugan is in a better position to pass, and Zack is the only person that we do not want them to use magic abilities against, and physical reactions for Emla, not really a factor. But there you have it. Dugan getting targeted with a magic ability, so that is a good sign. We do want that. And we could continue to use Sure Slash on Zack here. I mean, theoretically, he's getting a little bit of experience from hitting the enemies, so that is something. It's better than just outright passing. And we know that he's not going to one-shot anyone. So it's kind of safe. Whereas Dugan, on the other hand, I suppose we haven't tested with this slightly weaker sword as to whether or not that's the case. It is not. Granted, he does not need offensive reactions on this sword, so not as relevant. But here you see 3 attacks. All of them were relevant. All of them were on characters that are working on their magic defenses. So that is really the objective there, is to make it that much easier for us to have people level those up, and fewer times in which the person that our enemy's target happens to be someone that we're not interested in working on. So now, after having healed on Emla, that is also very useful, because that allows Mardek to continue to use his offensive reactions. Whereas I believe he is the only one. Oh, I just was not paying attention on that one. It was on Mardek, so it was relevant. That one on Zack, not so much. But like I said, that's 160 experience each time Zack hits one of these guys, so it is doing something still. And it is relatively safe. Because I don't remember if you can crit with Sure Slash or not. There's a chance that you can't. In which case, we are absolutely certain that Zack will not one-shot anyone. If there is a chance of you still critting, then I suppose that is an opportunity for him to crit and then unexpectedly take someone out. Emla is actually not looking great here. You know, we are deliberately taking a bunch of damage, which, believe it or not, does of course mean that eventually that damage starts to add up. So, we'll continue to use healing abilities, and by healing abilities, I mean offensive magic spells, but ones that are an element that heals our opponents with Emla. And then, Mardek, I know you're the person who was previously working on your offensive reactions, but on this occasion, healing is actually quite relevant. You could have some of these people who are passing turns deliberately use items instead. Mardek is getting destroyed here. That is odd. They're targeting him so much. He does start with the most HP. So anyone else, and they probably would have gone down from those hits there. So let's make sure we make a point of healing here, specifically on Mardek. Maximize the amount of HP he gets back. And please do not target Zack. Please do not target Zack. Thank you for not targeting Zack. Okay, and now at this stage, I think let's start to make a little bit of progress actually taking these guys out. Like I said before, this is probably the perfect setup in terms of the types of enemies that we would want to have, at least within the Trilobite Caves. We were talking earlier about how there might be other locations that are more effective because, well, as we were seeing, these Trilobites ultimately can and will deal a somewhat significant amount of damage to us, whereas if we were fighting enemies in a much lower level area, even if they did land attack after attack on us, it wouldn't add up all that much. Or in some cases, if we went a really low level area, might be dealing quite literally 0 damage, in which case, no problem at all. Oh, Dugan. Not quite. Not quite. It does allow at least one more defensive reaction for us to work on. And let's continue to crescendo now. So, all in all, that should mean that battle gave us significant progress toward mostly our magic defensive reactions there. And in fact, there you have it. Mardek and Emla both mastering theirs. Dugan, we did, of course, only recently put that back on him. So, that does mean that Mardek is now done with the green chainmail and could be our next Geojacket user. That was the primary reason for us having done that. So let's make sure we turn off this and turn off this now. does mean that we will likely have to turn off locomotion to make enough room. I think that's okay, because resist Earth certainly takes priority here. Does mean that we might want to put locomotion on somebody else, and I think Zack is a good option here, because that means 3 additional agility for Zack, which is a ton for what is already our fastest character, and it is also something that I think is relevant for someone who's going to be attacking, basically, every turn. So, Vim, locomotion, sounds good for him, in addition to the +1 agility passive there, so he's going to be super speedy. And then, Emla did also master her ability, or, oh, hold on, not that one, though. Which one was it, then? I thought it was this. Might it have actually been, it was plus 10% damage offensive magic reaction. She's actually also quite close to finishing the stun effect on her magic attacks, so very close to finishing things up with that wand. Not necessarily sure that we would switch over to a different wand afterward. It is, I believe, if I remember correctly, the highest base damage of all the wands. 8, or they might all be the same. 7, 6, and 5. So it is the highest. I think that only affects the amount of damage she does with her physical attacks, though, so very rare for that to be a relevant factor for us. And as we were saying earlier, the empowers component doesn't actually do anything for air versus fire versus earth versus water, so they're all very similar once you master the various skills associated with them. So let's do perhaps one more battle here in which we will hopefully manage to master that offense reaction with Emla and get a little bit closer to some of our other things as well. Here you see, previously, these Leech Bats would have gone first. They have 22 agility, whereas Zack, with all of our new agility boosting items, 23, just barely beats them out. So yes, even the fastest of opponents, Zack can beat them to the punch. Now, do we want to take these guys out here, or do we deliberately want to hold off a little bit? Zack is the person who's looking to level up his defensive reactions. Maybe we deliberately pass here. And we hope that they do target Zack. Now, these guys don't deal as much damage, as you're seeing here, as the trilobites. So if they were, say, to attack us non-stop, then it wouldn't be as big a deal. They're closer to being those low-level type enemies that we were referring to earlier. And they are still in the same area, of course. That much is true. Another interesting thing we might be able to do is they have 50% resistance to darkness. So even though they don't have a lot of HP, there's a chance that Mardek may be able to not defeat them in one hit here. Let's see. Oh, well. We tested the theory, and it did not hold up. We'll deliberately, yes, allow them to hit Zack a little bit more here. And he's getting very close, I think, to mastering that defensive reaction. So granted, Mardek has now taken the Geo Jacket, and that was the primary thing that we were considering putting on Zack as well. So maybe not as urgent now that we have made that transition. But it does give us more flexibility if we do find that there are other options to put on Zack for the chestplate. Which the bone armor might be one of those options. I'm not sure if he's done that yet. And so that does mean that we saw Mardek is incapable of not destroying these bats here. So we will pass with basically everyone and make sure that they, well, hope, fingers crossed, that they attack Zack. And we'll maybe give them one more round of doing this. I don't recall as to exactly how many hits Zack needed. That is, of course, potentially something helpful to have in mind so that you aren't here for who knows how long, just waiting for who knows how many defensive reactions. Now, granted, for example there, nobody hit Zack, and so we didn't technically make any progress on the defensive reaction side of things that go round. Might that be reason enough for us to start taking them out? Let's take them out one at a time with Emla. The idea there being that we actually want to work on as many of her offensive reactions as possible. And so if we go one enemy at a time rather than taking them all in one fell swoop, then that does give her an opportunity to work on a few more. Also, means we're giving the bats one more chance to finally target Zack, which they are not doing this time around. If we pass with everyone here, then this is your last shot, Bat Boy. Make it happen. Will we do it? No, sirree. In which case, get out of here. We don't need you. Okay, so I don't think that's going to have been enough defensive reactions on Zach, but we can see here for certain it was not. Let's double check just how close he is. He needs 4 more. So he's getting close, but he's not quite there. As I was saying, I think with those bats, that is probably the best set of enemies to go up against to try to work on that, because theoretically, if they all happen to attack him, it might just happen in 1 round, which would be very convenient. As for Emila, you are 1 away from mastering the stun ability, so we're getting close on several fronts here. But let's make our way back towards Cambria, at least for the time being. And maybe we'll catch 1 more battle on the way in which we can master that stuff up. So, I think deliberately I will pass again. With Zach, Emila, we do want to make sure you get 1 of these hits in here. This time, we'll target the Trilobite. The idea being that we are actually deliberately going for the physical defensive reactions rather than the magical ones. We want Zach to be the target here, and of course he is not. Emila, not looking great right now. And I do believe she just needed 1. But we'll use 2 of her spells, just in case. We'll pass with Dugan as well. I was gonna say, we would use Mardek to heal up Emila, just in case, because she's not looking great right now. However, I believe Mardek got targeted with the reduced speed, so he is absurdly slow. That might be what happened. Or slash, his turn kinda sorta got skipped in the process because of that. However, let's just take this guy out for now. Unfortunately, no defensive reactions on Zach there, but we did, hopefully, master that offensive reaction with Emila. There it is. So we could either swap over to another wand if we thought that was meaningful, or swap over from the stun reaction to the poison reaction, depending on which one we feel is more relevant. However, I think that is a good amount of progress for now, so let's head back in to Cambria. We'll save up, we'll heal, and it might be time for us to test out the arena. Perhaps an opportunity for us to level a little bit more, master up the last few skills there. However, after having put on the Geo Jacket on Mardek as well, I think we have almost everyone with access to that really powerful Resist Earth ability, and that's going to be a big difference maker. So with that, I think this is a good opportunity for us to sign off here, and I will catch you in the next one.